Welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Hayley Caronia. Thanks to everyone who's joining me on this Tuesday evening. I see everyone in the chat letting me know where you're tuning in from. I always love to check in just like a few minutes before the show. We're in here fighting about UFOs today, so we're going to get into it in tinfoil hat time. But if you want to join everyone in the chat, you got to do it on Rumble. Rumble.com/Hayley is the only place you can watch Nightly Scroll. We are starting a new thing where you can watch on Facebook and X, but then it'll cut out after a certain time, and then you're going to be able to watch the full show on Rumble. Rumble is still the only place you can watch the full show. So rumble.com/Hayley, that'll bring you to the Bongino Report channel. Make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a show. Of course, you can catch it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, audio only, whenever you want. It goes up usually the morning after. But I just appreciate everyone who's here. So if you're watching on Facebook or X right now, hello, welcome, and join us on Rumble whatever the stream cuts out, because there's a lot to get to tonight. Speaking of, we've got the media who hates us and we hate them. It's a hate-hate relationship, so we're going to get into that. They love to lie to us. They love to call us racist and homophobic and transphobic and all the things. We're going to call them out. MSNBC, CNN, everyone in the mainstream media, Axios. I'm calling everyone out. No one's safe. Then we've got Obama and his library that is costing $850 million. Oh my gosh. It's expensive. It's really expensive. Then here's the kicker. Biden's library, he picked the location. Of course, it's going to be in Delaware, but no budget. Because if you don't set a budget, you can't go over budget. Okay, we're going to talk about that, and we are going to get into the House hearing on the UAP. I always thought it was unidentified aerial phenomena, but it's not. It's unidentified something else. Like, I forgot what the word is. You have to look it up. Oh, anomalous. Unidentified anomalous. I was reading this. I said, okay, well, I don't know anything.
That must be a change. That must be a recent change.
It did. The government changed it. Changed it.
What do they know? What do they know?
Tomato, chest feeder, breast feeder, whatever. It's all the same, even though it's not. So we've got a lot to get to on this episode of Nightly Scroll. Put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Let's get into it. NBC today, and I have some clips because Mika Brzezinski and whoever the hell was in for Joe Scarborough, I don't know his name, they were taking Tom Homan on, and everyone knows you don't take on Tom Homan because he's going to win. He has the facts. So here's the first clip. Let's get into it.
With this ruling, will the officials there, federal officials working for the Trump administration, National Guard and federal law enforcement, will they be racially profiling? How will they approach the people they think might be migrants?
Well, first of all, it's a false narrative. We don't racially profile people to arrest them. I've been clear from, in the soundbite she just said 70% of people we arrest are not criminals. It's the opposite. Every morning I come to work, I go through 22 pages of data showing what's happened in the last 24 hours. Here are the facts. 70% of everybody we arrest is a criminal. But the left says, well, not criminal enough. No, they're criminals. Who are the other 30%? There are national security threats. We've arrested thousands of national security threats. Most national security threats don't have a criminal history, but they're significant dangers to this country. Who are the others? They're gang members with no criminal history. Or they're people who have final orders, who had due process at great taxpayer expense, were ordered removed by a federal judge and didn't leave. They're being arrested too. So this false narrative being pushed is a reason why there's over a 1,000% increase in the assault on ICE officers. So the Supreme Court agreed with us yesterday on how we do these operations. I said from day one, we don't arrest somebody or detain somebody without reasonable suspicion. And reasonable suspicion has a group of factors you must take into consideration. Racial profiling is not happening at all, and the Supreme Court has agreed with that.
Okay. Again, you do not come with Tom Homan or at Tom Homan if you don't have the facts, because Tom Homan, not only is he going to have the facts, he's going to have the receipts. So in this next clip, and it is a longer clip, but Mika Brzezinski was like a dog with a bone. I don't know what her problem was. I don't know what she had up her behind, but she could not get over this fact that Tom Homan was lying or not telling the full truth. She was claiming that DHS and ICE agents were, parked outside of, or illegally parked outside of a Hispanic church or something. So I am Googling to no avail. I'm trying to figure out what the hell she's talking about. I could not find a headline from this week, last week, in the last few months. I mean, it was insane. I saw some like ICE deportation headlines from like months ago. I have no idea what she was talking about, but here she is asking Tom Homan about these ICE trucks or vans that were parked at a church. And well, he shut her down with the facts. Once again, watch this.
When you got governors and mayors who are releasing these public safety threats every day into the community, that causes the crime rate. And we've seen some terrible incidents in the last few days where innocent victims are murdered. This past year, I've seen innocent Americans raped and murdered by people who are not supposed to be here. So rather than going back and forth and say, well, ICE has got a car parked near a church, that is ridiculous. You're out there looking for people like this, exactly what they're doing.
Well, I would argue that actually that the ICE vehicle parked outside a Spanish mass is a frightening sight, given what has happened in this country. I also, with respect, sir, thank you for the information that you have shared on this show, but we would appreciate all of the information. All of it. All of the data that you say you have.
I've done this show several times. Every time I'm on your show, I speak with integrity, I speak with honesty, and I speak with facts. The bottom line is, because of all this false narrative, and you using the term disappearing people,
well,
is
that's
disgusting.
What's happened. That happened to the group that was sent to El Salvador.
U.S. citizens get arrested every day. U.S. citizens get arrested by police every day. Are they being disappeared? No, their laws are being enforced. They're being arrested. They're being put in detention because they committed a criminal offense.
Not like what you're doing.
Yes,
we're enforcing the law and arresting people here in violation of law that are public safety threats. That's not disappearing people. That's enforcing the laws of this country and making this country safer.
Again, these leftist narratives are so infuriating. People are not disappearing. Like Tom Homan was saying, people who are criminals and have a criminal record, they are being arrested because that's what's supposed to be done. And then they are sent to jail. They're not disappeared. They are, and even in that clip, Mika Brzezinski saying, that's what's happening. People are disappearing to a prison in El Salvador. Well, they didn't disappear then because you know exactly where they are. And that's where they're supposed to be, a prison in El Salvador or wherever. But they're off the streets. They're not able to kill and rape American citizens. So that's exactly where they're supposed to be, off the streets. Then she's saying, like, Tom, you're not telling the full truth. Like, thanks for the facts that you brought up. Thanks for that. But we want the full truth. DHS and ICE under President Trump and the Trump administration has been more transparent than it ever has been in its history. Way more than under the Biden administration. They post on social media the arrests that are being made. So here's just an example of the ICE list. They arrested a bunch of people in Illinois. So we're going to go through this. I mean, released multiple times, even though they were charged for battery, assault, DUI, drug possession, drug manufacturing, aggravated unlawful use of a weapon. I mean, you could just see these are the not the best and brightest, okay? Burglary and shoplifting, a gang member, Tren de Aragua gang member, reckless conduct, assault with a gun, aggravated assault and use of a weapon and domestic battery. Also a gang member, unlawful use of a weapon and aggravated assault. There's a pattern here. There's a pattern here because these are, like I said, not the best and brightest. I don't care where you send them, but you can't be on the streets. You can't be raping and killing American women. You just can't. Now, here's another example that just pisses me off because not only if we're not catching these people and deporting them and disappearing them, to use Mika Brzezinski's language and the narrative of the left, right? If we're not disappearing them to prison, well, then they're free to just reoffend. So here's an example. This guy, 49 priors. This is in Sanctuary State, California. ICE arrests illegal alien with 49 prior arrests. Here's just a few. 49 convictions for assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, vehicle theft, criminal threats to terrorize, drunk driving, shoplifting, carrying a loaded firearm in public, carrying a concealed firearm in a vehicle, trespassing, property damage, vandalism, petty theft, and carrying a concealed dagger. Imagine defending these people? You have to be totally delusional. Why are people on the left going to bat for these freaks of nature? Get them off the streets. I don't care where they disappear to. Disappear them. Disappear them. I want them to be disappeared. I want them to disappear into thin air. Get them far away from me. I don't understand the narrative that they're just defending these people, vandalism, petty theft, rape, DUI. And they're like, this is really horrible what the Trump administration is doing. It's insane. And then, of course, the White House does have some fun with it because they post these people, they're making fun of this guy. This guy that they caught was a little short, but he looked like a labubu. And the White House is making fun of him, saying that he looked like a labubu. So if you could pull this up, he was very short. You could scroll down and is this real? I thought that this was AI at first because this man that they deported is very small. I mean, he comes up to the officer's elbow. He's very small. Not to body shame. People get mad at me when I body shame people on this show, but I mean, this is just a fact. He's a very short man. So if you could scroll up, the White House is making fun of it. Deported edition, Labubu, deported. Labubus are, of course, these little like troll dolls that are popular now. I think they're, Chinese or something like that. They're like an Asian trend, and it's kind of come here. All these influencer girls are putting little Labubus on their bags, their purses or whatever, kind of like a purse charm. Kids are being gifted Labubus. They're small little dolls. So if you're a parent or a grandparent, maybe your kid has asked you for a Labubu, but there's some grumblings that Labubus are demonic, and the White House was joking in that post that what the F, maybe Labubus are demonic because if they come in the form of a gangbanger who needs to be arrested and they're very short, if the shoe fits. Anyway, my point is all of these bad hombres are exactly what President Trump campaigned on in 2015 and 2020 and 2024. This is what he was talking about. And while MSNBC wants to make this all about race and claim that these people are being targeted by their race or their color and not their criminal background, who cares what they look like? Get rid of them. I don't care what color they are or where they're from. They don't belong here, and they're all committing dangerous crimes. That also has no place here. Democrats are so busy calling the Trump administration racist for enforcing the law, they become the party of preborn murder and also rape and homicides by illegals. And over on CNN, they claim that President Trump only cares about the murder that took place on the Charlotte light rail because he wants to push it and use it to push the crime crackdown. So here's a promo promoting Aaron Burnett's show on CNN. Watch this.
Horrific new video of a Ukrainian refugee's murder caught on camera. It is absolutely horrific. Trump is now seizing on this to push his nationwide crackdown.
No, it's just horrific. And full stop. Full stop, period. It's just horrific. You could just say, you could end the sentence there and you would be correct. It was horrific. And President Trump is not pushing it or, using it as like this convenient thing. I mean, and then here's an Axios headline. So Axios is pushing the same narrative that this crime crackdown is just like a MAGA thing. Here's the headline out of Axios earlier. Stabbing video fuels MAGA's crime message. What do you mean? They're making this out to be like this is some opportunistic thing. Like we're reveling in this. This is disgusting. We hate this. Maybe President Trump is cracking down on crime because it's very real. This isn't just a figment of our imaginations. This isn't just a campaign thing or, a political agenda. This woman's murder is not some convenient story for Trump. It's an example of why this movement is much needed. There are real human beings who are being killed. Real people living in our nation's cities who feel very scared, defenseless against criminals, homeless people, illegal aliens, mentally ill people. How out of touch can the left be to claim that this is all just a manufactured crisis? This is just Trump being Trump. Their privilege is showing. Maybe it's because they don't use public transportation. Maybe it's because they have private security or they live in a gated community. Well, most Americans don't live like that. Most Americans have to fend for themselves. And when they see a young woman with her whole life ahead of her get stabbed in the neck by a crazy person, they know that it's a reality that could happen to them. I see these videos. I watch these stories. I read these articles. The woman who was burned alive by the illegal immigrant on the subway in Brooklyn. That could have been me. If I was living there, that could have been any one of my friends and family. I tell this story because it happened to me when I was living in New York City. I was on the subway car. It was me, another woman sitting across from me, and there was a man and a woman towards the end of the car. And the man just started beating the living you-know-what out of the woman. And I'm sitting there. I'm not armed because it's New York City and it's next to impossible to defend yourself. And the woman next to me, we make eye contact. As soon as the subway car stops, I get out and I call the NYPD. And thankfully, I knew the exact train I was on, what station I was at, what time it was, what car I was at, because you got to keep your head on a swivel. I knew exactly where to send them. But it was unfortunate that I couldn't step in. I would have been next. And I wasn't armed, of course. It would have been great if I was, but I wasn't. All I could do was call for help. And unfortunately, help is just not there in these big cities. They don't have cops on the subway because they're all defunded and whatnot. So this is why, nobody watches these CNN or MSNBC shows anymore. They're on this high horse. They talk down to viewers. They try to make people feel stupid for feeling and experiencing the things that they do, basically telling us to not believe our own eyes and to trust them instead. F that. But CNN is also claiming that Republicans are being racist when they point out the race of criminals who are murdering white women. I did this yesterday on the show, not because I'm racist, but because I have eyeballs and ears and I have a brain between them as well. So when I start seeing a pattern of black men assaulting and raping and killing white women, I'm not afraid to call it out because it's just the truth. And I'm not afraid to call it out. Neither is Ben Shapiro. Neither is Charlie Kirk and others in the new media. But here's CNN's Abby Phillips and the other panel of misfits all claiming that Charlie Kirk is racist. Listen.
Want to be there.
Yeah, and it's
about
difficult
forcing them to be there.
When you are mentally ill, you have a hard time knowing that you are mentally ill. But also, people like Charlie Kirk, they've been looking for opportunities to make this some sort of reciprocal George Floyd situation. And that's the part that I think
what the hell?
He's almost giving away the game. And it's sad to see a lot of people going along with it.
Let me just say a couple of things. One is, what happened to that young woman was horrible. And it's everybody's nightmare. If you're in any public space, a subway, whatever, that something bad is going to happen to you or somebody you care about. So it does strike a chord. We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. It's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. Where is the George Floyd Policing Act? It didn't pass. Even when you had a white police officer murder a black man on live television, the whole world saw, there were no sweeping changes. In fact, not one law was passed at the federal level. So I think that's an important thing to point out. The other thing is, you mentioned the thing about cashless bail. I think this is a big challenge that we have. Would you have felt better if there had been cash bail and the mom had come and put down $1,000 to let him out? It's not about cashless bail or no cashless bail. It's about the fact that we don't know how to deal with people who are hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people.
No.
Cashless bail is exactly why he was back out on the subway.
Not only that, but just they let these people out to reoffend. But what really got me in that clip was Abby saying it's a game. This is a game to Charlie Kirk. We were just waiting for something bad to happen to a white woman so that we could jump on it. It was an opportunity that we were all just waiting for. We were waiting for our very own George Floyd. What the fuck? What? We are not waiting for bad things to happen to people so then we could jump and pounce on it to make it. That's what they do. That's them when they play games. They're saying the quiet part out loud. They're projecting what they do with George Floyd onto us. We don't want that. And the race card is all they have. They do this every time. They have nothing, so they call us names. Racist, homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic. All because we want to be able to ride public transportation or go for a walk or go for a run without dying or being raped. Like, what a concept.
And unfortunately, there's been more than one female victim like that is white.
Then
so that just
saying,
this breaks down his argument totally right then. Like,
she was saying too, like, well, mentally ill people, like, they don't know that they're mentally ill.
Everyone watching that CCTV train video knew that guy was struggling. And
great point, though, that you brought up the other people on that video that did absolutely nothing as a girl was dying, slowly dying, bleeding out, dying. The video is so horrific. She's shocked. She's alone. No one on that bus did anything for her. No one said anything to the bus driver. No one, they were just trying to get away from her. Like, the one woman was kind of like, ugh, got up and
I was shocked that nobody even jumped to give general first aid. Like, no one even jumped up until a minute or two later to put pressure on a wound.
Yeah, it's so disgusting. So anyway, based off of this horrific incident that happened on the Charlotte light rail, Transportation Secretary Duffy said that he is going to jump into action. Listen to this.
I can't pull money today from their transit system. I actually have to do an investigation. That's what the law requires. We start that investigation tomorrow, and I guarantee all your viewers that if I find what I think I'm going to find, they are not going to have your federal tax dollars going to their public transportation system. Zero, none, nada.
Something has to be done, right? And the Trump administration has routinely pulled funding from states that have not complied with the law, whatever it is, the transgender ideology with Maine. This is what they've been doing. However, as someone who used to take public transit in a major city, the thought of pulling funding from these kinds of things is a little scary, because I don't think that these activist judges who let off career criminals with slaps on the wrist are going to change their ways because the Trump administration is threatening to pull funding. I just think they're not going to be like, wake up one day like, oh, well, they pulled funding, so now I'm not going to be a woke idiot. Oh, they pulled funding, so now I guess I'll start doing my job. I mean, these people are rotten to the very core. So we
need to get these judges out.
Yeah.
And the Senate needs to get these judges confirmed.
Yeah.
We need to get people in there.
Yeah.
Like, this should be a vertical escalator to get this thing happening.
Right. So, I don't think they're going to learn their lesson. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that they want to pull funding. I just think, they'll continue to let these freaks off the hook. Then the transit systems will maybe fall into disrepair. Maybe they'll become less desirable. People who can afford to not take them won't. So then all that's left is total degenerates that are going to take over the system. It's going to be crime-ridden, homeless people. So normal law-abiding citizens won't take them anymore. And it'll just be like a crime-infested shit show, which we've seen in every blue city in this country, unfortunately. This is just a prime example of why I don't think anything will change with these activist judges unless they get sued or they threaten to lose their jobs. But this is the Laken Riley Act. A Barack Obama appointed judge claimed that the Laken Riley Act is it goes against due process. So this Obama era judge just decided to block it. This was in a case of an illegal alien who is 14 years old. He was arrested for shoplifting on July 4th in Massachusetts. And basically this Obama era judge ruled that, the Laken Riley Act just doesn't, she's not going to apply it in this situation because she thinks that detaining an individual solely on the basis of his prior arrest record violates due process. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you can argue that if he's an illegal alien and he was arrested for shoplifting, deport him. I don't understand. I don't understand the basis for these judges defying these. They're defying reality, and they're defying the Trump administration. They're defying DHS and their efforts for deporting these people. That's why I think nothing will really change Unless their cushy careers are threatened, they will just keep coddling criminals. It's their ideology that needs to change, or they need to, which isn't going to happen, or like Andy was saying, they need to get thrown out and replaced by someone who will actually do the job. The same way that any employee would get fired for doing a bad job, the same should happen for these judges. They should lose their jobs and be replaced. Taking a quick break to tell you about our sponsor for tonight's show, Masa Chips. We love Masa Chips here at Silverlock. We have them in the cabinet. They go pretty quickly. That's all I'm going to say. So did you know that chips and fries used to be cooked in beef tallow up until the 1990s when big corporations switched to cheap processed seed oils? Today, seed oils make up about 20% of the average American's daily calories. Ew! And recent studies linked seed oils to metabolic health issues and inflammation in the body. Nobody wants that. So, Masa decided to do something about it. They created a tasty and delicious tortilla chip with just 3 ingredients and no seed oils. Not only do they eliminate the bad stuff, they taste great, they are filling, they are sturdy. Like, they are not going to break in your salsa or your guac. They have all these flavors that are amazing. All the flavors are good. I don't get that heavy, sluggish feeling after I eat them. It is hard to find snacks to keep around the office that are not ultra processed or unhealthy. So Masa takes care of that, and they take care of us. So Masa Chips is beloved by tens of thousands of customers and has been endorsed by industry-leading health and nutrition experts. Are you ready to give Masa a try? You should be. Go to masachips.com/scroll and use code SCROLL for 25% off your first order. That is masachips.com/scroll and use code SCROLL for 25% off your first order. If you've been watching this show on X or on Facebook, I'm saying goodbye to you right now. Thank you for watching. And if you want to finish the show, which you should, because we're going to yell at each other about UFOs in just a few minutes, and I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on wherever it is. I'm sitting on it. Just a little tease. I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. We're going to talk conspiracy theories in just a little bit. So if you're watching on Facebook or X, come over to Rumble, rumble.com/Hayley. The show continues. The fun continues. And yes, we're going to talk about aliens. What else do we have? We have my scrolling time. Lots of good stuff ahead. So join us there. You're going to see all my homies in the chat. I love everyone in the chat. So good stuff to come. First, though, we're going to talk about Obama and how much money he is spending with him and his friends. It's seeming a little corrupt, if you ask me. So newly released financial records expose just how pricey President Barack Obama's library is going to cost. This is the headline out of the Daily Mail earlier. Eye-watering financial records, and they are eye-watering. And they also called the library an eyesore. It's going to be in Chicago, and it was originally estimated to be $300 million. Then they revised the budget in 2017. They were like, 300 million is not enough. Let's up the ante. It's going to be 500 million. Then they revised the budget again in 2021, 700 million. Everyone, are you sitting down? Are you sitting down for this? $850 million. That's apparently what it costs to get Barack Obama the cushy library that he wants. And it's going to have a museum in it, and it's going to have all this stuff. I just have a few questions. Before we get to the corruption of it all, because this is screaming corruption, but why does it take this long to build a library? Why can't it be a humble library? Why can't it just be a library that serves the community? Why does it have to be this lavish thing?
That's the first thing you thought of?
Yeah, because first of all, why is it taking this long? They started in 2015.
Well, we know that. He's paying Dirty Mike and the boys 10X and skimming the money.
Well, we're going to get to
this. This is my question. Is Indiana Jones curating this thing? Like,
Justin,
what do we have? The Ark of the Covenant
and
that gold cross from Indiana Jones 3? Like, what is in this museum that's worth $1 billion?
It's a money laundering operation for sure, because all these people who are sitting on the board are just raking in the dough. So executives, I wouldn't call it an eyesore. Like, it's not my style, but whatever.
It looks like a tombstone.
Yeah, this is what like all monuments look like, though.
Here lies
like
Joe Biden.
A hunk of, it's like a hunk of, I don't know, stone. I mean, again, it's not my style, but whatever. Someone in the chat said Hayley hasn't seen Indiana Jones. You would be correct.
Indiana Jones, awesome archaeologist, travels the world, finds things that are just crazy, and somehow gets away with them in a super adventure. That pretty much sums up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
No, but here, let's get into the nitty gritty of this, because executives who are working at this center, which, again, why? Why are all these people working on this, and why do they have such high-level executives working on a... Also, if you're Barack Obama and you wanted a library built like that, you could have a library built like that. It doesn't take 10 years to build a library. So let's get into why they are probably stretching this project, every penny, if you will, stretching this project, making it last as long as possible so he could just pay all of his friends, right? So CEO Valerie Jarrett, she was paid $740,000 last year to oversee the library. What? Now, OPC Executive Vice President Robin Cohen, $610,000 a year. Tina Chen, the organization's chief legal officer, $425,000 a year. Why? Why does it cost this much money to oversee a library? It doesn't, right? So what's this money going towards? Who is funding it? Are they getting donations from people and then they're just lining the pockets of Obama's friends? You know, very corrupt.
$425,000. Like
that would be very
I'm pretty
nice.
sure in I'm pretty confident in my abilities to make a library. 10-story tombstone. So like, give me a shout, B-Rock.
Don't leave us now.
No, I'll come back just a year.
Don't leave us now. I know. No, I think you'd get addicted to it. You'd make $420,000 a year, and then we'd never see your ass again.
And I'll go make tombstone libraries all over the planet.
Then you'd sign up to build Biden's presidential library. He picked the location in Delaware. He has not, though, set a budget, because I think he's learning from his friend Barry that if you set a budget of $300 million and then you're going to go over it, and then you're going to have to go over it again, and then you're going to go over it again, smart to not set a budget. This way, if you never set a budget, you can't go over it. How convenient. Do we think that Biden's going to give 10 for the big guy, 10 for the little guy, 10 for the little guy's little guy, 10 for the little guy's dog, 10 for Hunter Biden?
The Biden National Library is going to have, it's going to be about 1,500 square feet. It's going to have 2 pizza ovens and a Baskin Robbins. And a Hunter Biden art museum. Yeah, and Hunter Biden's gonna decorate it, and Joe's ashes are gonna be in some fruit beach drink hanging over the Baskin Robbins. I mean, what is he gonna have as a library?
I don't know. I don't know, and I don't know why it takes so long. Yeah, someone said Biden's library will have Hunter's finger paintings, right? And then he'll pay people extra or charge people extra to go see them. Anyway, if we thought that Democrats were done with their money laundering corruption schemes, they're not. Now, Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel, as we know, they did this rebrand. They had the new logo. It was horrible. Took all the charm out of Cracker Barrel. It took all the Cracker Barrel out of Cracker Barrel. It took the cracker off. It took the barrel off. It was just this plain Jane type of logo. So they heard the backlash and they said, we're going to bring the old logo back. Okay, we're all caught up on that part. Today, they posted this on X saying that all of these remodels that you've seen online, they are going to stop them. They are going to halt them. This is what they said. You've shared your voices in recent weeks, not just on our logo, but also on our restaurants. We're continuing to listen. That's nice. Today, we're suspending our remodels. If your restaurant hasn't been remodeled, you don't need to worry. It won't be. With our recent announcement that our old-timer logo will remain, along with our bigger focus in the kitchen and on your plate, we hope that today's step reinforces that we hear you. Which I think is a smart idea. Also, it saves them so much money. The fact that everyone was up in arms about them updating stuff, they're probably like, all right, you said you didn't want any new stuff? Cracker Barrels, they're never going to fix anything ever again. They're just going to let all the Cracker Barrels fall into disarray. They're never going to update them ever again, I think.
Have you, just a soft tease into the next segment, but have you heard about the conspiracy on this whole thing?
The conspiracy on the Cracker Barrel?
Yeah, that the marketing plea really wasn't, to change the logo, but like to fake the change of the logo. So they fake this change. They get
what
all
would they have done?
Negative pub is still pub.
What would they have done, though, if no one cared?
They would have been Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel's not in the news.
No,
Nobody talks about them. They just know at every exit there's one off the interstate.
Right.
And I can go buy my Jujubes.
Right. But if they announce the new logo and no one gave a rip, then what do? They've got to change it then.
I mean, but like, so,
I guess no one would have noticed if they did or they didn't.
Yeah. Then it's like, but like this got people talking about them.
Someone in the chat said Cracker Barrel needs a Sydney Sweeney ad. I volunteer as tribute, Cracker Barrel. If you need a blonde hair, I'm green eyes. I'm here for you. I think it would be great. I could sit on the little rocking chair on the porch. Think about it. You could go full MAGA and really do a rebrand that will be for the history books. All right, let's get into some tinfoil hat time. Yes. All right, it's tinfoil hat time. And we have to get into this congressional hearing, right? So Congresswoman from Florida, Anna Paulina Luna, she is on the task force. She is heading up the task force on the declassification of federal secrets. And they had a hearing today. The hearing was restoring public trust through UAP, transparency and whistleblower protection. Again, UAP is unidentified anomalous phenomena. Why are we rebranding it? It's just a UFO, Maybe
they've seen them more than in the air.
Whatever.
So it's not aerial.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. But whatever. For this purpose, UAP. So let's see this first video. Anna Paulina Luna, she is setting up exactly what they're trying to get to the bottom of here. Watch.
In recent months, Congress has also been presented with evidence that points to technologies that, to our knowledge, are beyond our current capabilities. It is our duty as elected representatives to follow the facts wherever they lead and to ensure that those facts are not buried under classification stamps or bureaucratic excuses. Let me be clear. Whether UAPs represent adversarial technology, natural phenomena, or something beyond current human understanding, Congress has a responsibility to investigate. If these objects are foreign in origin, then they pose a direct threat to our national security. And if they represent something unknown, they demand rigorous scientific inquiry, not ridicule, not secrecy, and not silence. The stakes are very high. Adversarial nations are not waiting for us to catch up. They are studying these phenomena as well aggressively, as multiple nations have also announced their own parliamentary investigations into this very topic. If we are to continue to hide information from ourselves, we risk strategic surprise. If we continue to ignore our pilots and service members, as well as countless government whistleblowers, we risk losing their trust.
Right.
And if we continue to shield the truth from the public, we risk eroding the very foundation of democratic accountability.
Someone in the chat brought up a good point that UFO, like some of them are not flying objects, some of them are swimming objects. But I will say that I think most of them fly.
That was the
They're
original
not like
term.
rovers,
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Right. So they're saying that,
but
like,
they're
not
seeing
just aerial.
They're seeing videos now where some of this is in water.
Right.
And so that's the anomalous part of it. So it's transmedium.
Right. Okay. So now we're all on the same page. So this is one of the UAPs that they brought up in this hearing. And on the panel was a bunch of former military and current military, you were saying? Or all former?
Retired. Former and retired military and the well-respected George Knapp.
Yep, the journalist. So, all right, let's see this video. This is an MQ-9 Reaper drone firing a Hellfire missile at a UAP off the coast of Yemen. This was October 30th, 2024. That's when this incident was recorded by a U.S. military drone. Watch this.
I'd like to ask the committee to replay that video that Burleson had played earlier. I want to ask every witness here, specifically ones that have sensor training or have been able to recognize some of this movement real quick. So if you guys can please roll that real quick.
So here's the UFO or UAP being filmed by a U.S. military drone. The U.S. military is going to fire a missile at it, and the missile is going to not do anything to it. There it is. There's the missile, and it does not. The missile is what explodes, not the UAP.
Okay, while this is still rolling, Mr. Nusatelli, real quick yes or no answers. Are you aware of anything in the government, United States government arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this?
No.
And do whatever blob thing it did and then keep going? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, how about you, Chief Wiggins?
Nothing to my knowledge, ma'am.
Okay, and how about you, Mr. Borland?
I prefer to answer that in a skiff.
Okay, does this video scare you guys? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
Nat?
I had a different reaction. I was really happy that it got out. Thanks for providing
Curiosity
that.
killed the cat. All right, Mr. Borland?
Interesting. So the one guy at the end that Congresswoman Paulina Luna asked, are you willing to answer whether or not the U.S. military has something of this capability? He said, I would only answer this in a skiff.
Which is not uncommon, because some of these guys,
they want to protect themselves.
They want to protect themselves. And you have a guy like Jeffrey Nusatelli, who was the first guy on the left, who's a retired Air Force guy. You know, I mean, he brought some of this to light, but they're sticking their necks out. I mean, this is big for Congress because they're actually talking about it. The more they talk about it, the more confidence the whistleblowers have that they're not going to lose their pension. They're not, you know what I mean? Seedy things aren't going to happen to them. So, but this is important to know that this is coming from the military. It's not Joe who has a drone off the coast of Yemen flying around watching whales, and then all of a sudden he sees a UAP. This is military drone.
Okay, but is this the first time that the government has lied to us or would lie to us? So just to let you all behind the curtain a little bit, we were all fighting. We were all fighting before the show started, just talking about this, because I said, yes, it's nice that Congress is like acknowledging this, but that doesn't mean that they're not lying to us, right? Because the government knows that we believe that the government is lying. The government knows that we think the government is lying to us about aliens. We also know that the government is capable of propaganda. If they know that we already think that they're lying, like, they could reverse psychology this and put out alien propaganda. Like, this happened off the coast of Yemen. Maybe they know that us conspiracy theorists are like so obsessed with UAPs and whatever, and we're like itching to believe that, and we do believe that this stuff exists and the government's lying about it. So then the government looks like they're being very transparent, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're using this. Maybe this is propaganda. Can we believe everything that the government tells us? Can we believe videos that are produced by the military or by the government? I don't know. It's grainy ass video from a drone. Like,
yep, I would say that, like, again, like some of these people, like Lieutenant Commander Ryan Graves and Jeffrey Nusatelli and
I'm
other
not trying
people.
to discredit them.
No, 100%. But I think
the
if we are going to think about this being disclosure happening, or maybe our eyes being like, okay, well, maybe this is beyond my understanding. I trust those dudes telling me that this is weird because they are military professionals that fly jet engines and have experience in, avionics. So I don't know. It's just interesting.
I have a question. Okay, I have a question. So remember when all these UFOs were like popping out of the water, and they were all over the coast of New Jersey, and then they were all over the coast of San Diego, and then people in Middle Tennessee were posting videos and all over the place, right? All over the country last summer, August or whatever it was, last fall. Everyone, I could not scroll on TikTok without seeing videos of UFOs. Doesn't look like a drone, but the government came out and they said, you're all stupid. Like the Biden administration literally came out and their statement essentially said, you're all seeing things and you don't know what you're talking about. If you saw anything, no, you didn't. And if you saw something, it might have been the military, but like it's not aliens. And if you see things popping out of the water, no, you didn't. I mean, that was literally the Biden administration stance. Like you guys are seeing stars, literally. They said, I think it was Antony Blinken that said something like, yeah, trust us, it's like shooting stars. Like if you see something moving in the sky, it's probably a shooting star. If I saw a shooting star in the sky, I would know it was a shooting star.
So what were those things? I don't believe they were anything.
What I'm saying.
We still don't know.
I'm frustrated because the government tells us to shut up when we say things. Then they now it's the Trump administration, and Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, did a thing saying the exact same thing that the Biden administration said, that, these are military drones, these are whatever, like nothing to worry about, because they don't want us to panic and freak out and think that the government's lying to us. But anyone who knows anything about anything knows that the government's lying to us.
Yeah, I would be like, okay, if I was gonna screw with this, even if 10% of this is true, I would flood it with more alien stuff just to debunk it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is sort of what they're doing with ivermectin. I'm gonna say ivermectin works. We know it works. It's won a Nobel Peace Prize. But what we're gonna do is flood it with watered down junk ivermectin all over the country, and not the real stuff. And then, you know what I mean? And then so that we can keep claiming that ivermectin is just a horse medicine and it doesn't work against COVID. So it's like, I would do the same. So you can't trust, like, I don't know. I don't know, but like, I do know that video exists.
Right.
I do know it's been credited by not just the military, but people who risk a whole lot to say that that's true. And that means something.
Yes, it means something. But with all of these hearings on Capitol Hill, whether it's UFOs or, Section 230 or whatever it is, like nothing ever happens. Nothing ever changes. It's a big circle jerk of everyone in Congress saying, I don't know what's going on. Especially in this case with UFOs. It's just a bunch of people being like, yeah, the military doesn't have any of this stuff. We don't know where it comes from. We don't know where it is. And that's comforting.
I fully get it. My esteemed colleague, Justin, truly believes in science, and he science. Senator Paul, he doesn't he's not quite as bought into this solely because of Sir Isaac Newton.
Justin, explain. I can't hear you, but maybe they can hear you.
I should be around. Hello?
I can hear you now, yes.
Flying things don't get hit and then just keep flying. That's just not.
Because Sir Isaac Newton said so.
Yeah, he had 3 laws, actually. He had a couple of laws, but the third one.
Yeah, I don't know. So do you think that the video is AI or doctored in some way?
I don't know, but I know flying things don't keep flying.
Unless they're stopped.
I mean, especially with, like, whatever Javelin missile that was,
I know. I mean, you would think that it would be shot down. So then, like, what would this be made of? And then here's the thing. If this is really just not comforting across the board, because if our military doesn't have anything like this, then who does? Either it's aliens or Russia or Iran or Israel or whoever. Like someone has this, right? Or it's completely doctored and the whole thing is fake.
Or it's not from this planet, which I think everyone is trying to say on that panel, or try to keep an open mind that this might not be from this planet. What we do know about other countries, George Knapp did it in the 80s. He went over to Russia. This is documented. Things like this have been documented, especially on nuclear power plants. Things like this have been documented all over the world. Mm-hmm. Like it's ubiquitous. Every major country, G8, G7, whatever it is, every major country has files and issues regarding this stuff. And so maybe America can be a leader on a little bit of disclosure. So I hope that's what's happening. The more that they have these congressional hearings, the more it's less taboo, the more people can talk about it, the more people can put in FOIA requests.
Yeah.
And who knows?
It's also weird that the thing, the U.S. military had a drone fixated on it. So then the U.S. military shoots a missile at it, and it keeps going, and then what happens? It just flies off into space. The U.S. military drone lost it.
It zips away at 32,000 miles an hour vertical. Cue Justin laughing.
Now, isn't this really concerning? Like, wouldn't the U.S. military be like, we're...
They are. But the U.S. military is not going to panic publicly. They are. They're not going to. You're not going to see Biden in his red demon background being like, "We don't know what's going on. There's crazy stuff flying in and out of the oceans, and it's blowing up our most dangerous missiles."
But then it's like, well, if that's the case, and the U.S. military behind closed doors is, bugging out because this something somewhere has technological capabilities that we can't even dream of. Justin made a good point. Like, whoever has this technology, wouldn't they be ruling the world?
If someone had a plane,
Other mic.
You can hear this, no?
I can't hear you.
Well, they can hear me.
Okay, well.
If someone had a plane that could
Justin's saying,
survive U.S. missiles, they'd take over the world.
It's okay. Make your point.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to say it again.
Oh,
now.
I can hear it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. If someone had a plane that could stop U.S. missiles and keep flying, they would take over the world,
right.
And we wouldn't be having this conversation at this moment. It'd be over. Game over.
So then, what is it? Is it just aliens?
I mean,
that
cue
have...
Venezuela, who just got absolutely dogged by the U.S. military, sent like Generation 2X fighters to them. I mean, there's no competition for us.
I understand the skeptical nature of all of this, but let's all just think, maybe. Maybe.
Chad has corrected me. It was not a javelin. It was a Hellfire. I just want to put that out there.
Hellfire missile. Yep. Maybe what?
Maybe it's not from here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we need to know, though. And I feel like with all of these hearings, we just never know anything. We never really find out. Then the government's just going to come out and be like, yeah, you guys are stupid.
Well, they did the same thing with the JFK assassination. Like, there are people in the government that know exactly what happened.
That we just, memory
They're not telling
it.
us what happened. So, I mean, it's not about getting disclosure right now. It's the pathway to which disclosure can happen for the American people, and that is keep them moving forward with these. It's the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
Like, and unless the July 4th Will Smith aliens fly over the White House and blow it up. Like, and then we all can say, darn, let's go for the hills. Like, we're not going to know.
What do we do if that happens? Like, if aliens decide to attack, let's say this is all aliens, right? And aliens have this incredible technology that we could never dream of. And why would they just be like popping out a little bit and not taking over?
I'm going to take a different strategy if they attack. I'm not going to pick up a gun. I'm going to grab my guitar and I'm going to play 90s country to the aliens and hope that the language of music, the intergalactic language of music, translates to aliens and they can be introduced to some Travis Tritt. And maybe I can just be the one that gets on the ship and heads back.
I don't know. If they're walking through the might of the American military like that video claims, then I'm going to sing song with them too. There's no 9mm doing anything to them.
Good luck with that.
Me and Justin are forming a 90s country boys band, and we're trying to get on the boat and go back.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or the ship.
I don't know what I would do. I just think you would just, whatever happens, happens. I'm ready to go home, and that's it.
Do one last show, and then,
Just a tinfoil hat send-off.
Yeah, just put that hat on and say, old Andy was right.
Fun.
Old Andy was right. Have a great 15 minutes while we're all still alive.
Yeah. Well, we don't have time for scrolling time, but I want to talk about another kind of tinfoil hat-ish story about pregnancy robots in China. Saw this article and I thought, what the hell? China tech CEO reveals plans for humanoid pregnancy robot. It's a robotics expert in China. He's saying that his company is creating a pregnancy robot that could be ready as early as next year. And this is his reasoning for it. He says, some people don't want to get married, but still want a wife. Some don't want to be pregnant, but still want a child. So our function of robot wife is that it can carry a pregnancy. Which is interesting because if you're using it for the second function? Like if you just don't want to get pregnant, would you get jealous of the robot wife that your husband, like how does that work? Do you implant like you would with IVF into a robot? Is your husband
this stuff freaks me
getting
out.
intimate with the robot? I'd be a little jealous.
This stuff just freaks me out because it is way more true and real than people know.
Well, we talk about this.
We are closer to this
than
think. People know.
Yeah. And the scary part is it used to just be these movies that were shocking. It was a thriller. It was fiction, right? It was the movie Her, where Joaquin Phoenix's character fell in love with basically Siri, right? And then, now we're seeing all these people who are totally mentally ill, but they're falling in love with ChatGPT and whatever. And when we see these humanoid robots starting to come into play here, at first, you think, oh, well, this will never happen. People aren't going to fall in love with a robot. And then they do. And then now this is taking it even a step further where, some people, they don't want to get pregnant, so they'll have a robot do it for them. What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
That sounds like a great idea,
What could go wrong?
I don't know. Isaac Newton didn't write laws for these things.
That's what I'm saying. And, some people don't want to get married, but they still want a wife. So now there are companies that are literally preying on these mentally ill men who don't want to get married, but they want a companion. Or maybe they can't get married because maybe they're like socially inept and they don't know how to find a wife or a girlfriend or whatever. So then they're just going to go the robot route. They're really like normalizing this stuff that used to just be fiction.
You know what's funny is like the chat's putting this in constantly right now. How many videos and movies have we plainly seen this illustrated in? You know what I mean?
Hayley would not know.
No, I wouldn't know, but I know that they don't end well.
Sorry. Let me just go ahead and say a ton of movies have illustrated this.
What are the movies?
There's a show called Westworld where people take vacations from a futuristic place into all that, and it's nothing but like relationships with robots, or like even Blade Runner was about a relationship with a robot. Will Smith's I, Robot was in fact about a relationship with a robot. So all of this is like, to me, maybe grooming. Are we starting to see, okay, we're gonna produce all of this stuff, let people see it, let people see what it's like, and then slowly start leaking it out in this reality?
But so they're also saying that, women are choosing to either not have children because they don't want to be pregnant, or they're just choosing to have children later in life because they're focusing on their career. Then they get married. Then it's like, oops, I can't get pregnant anymore. So then this is basically an alternative to surrogacy, right? Because people talk about the, whether or not surrogacy is ethical. You're paying someone to get pregnant for you. Surely it's consensual, but then, things can happen with pregnancy and it's a risk. So it's like, is there no risk really if you're having a robot carry out your pregnancy? What does this do for the baby? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that this can end well. To me, this feels
How do you explain the nature-nurture thing?
Right. Especially, this is what I thought of when people talk about kids who are born in like Russian orphanages where they just aren't held. They don't have that skin-to-skin contact, and then they become violent or something. Like there's something off because they didn't have that experience with another human being. You're telling me that these kids are just going to grow up and be fine? I don't even want to see this play out in real life. I don't want to see what these children are going to deal with. We saw what happened to our kids when they went to Zoom school for 3 years. They got really dumb. So I don't know. Like, I don't think that technology is always a good thing. I don't think that, FaceTime rather than like really in real life FaceTime is a good thing. Then when you bring pregnancy into this and like motherhood, this is surely a problem. And again, they're playing God. I think anytime you try to play God, you're gonna FAFO.
So, just think about it like this. For basically history, the means of transportation has been a horse. up until 1920. I mean, my dad, when I was growing up, had a 1920s T model. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Henry Ford and basically invented the assembly line, and we have the ability to mass produce all these combustion engines. And then all of a sudden, the Industrial Revolution happens, and roaring 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, two world wars, escalates things, population grows, and we go to the moon. We do, and then all of a sudden we have the internet and this magic phone in our hands that allows us to talk and video chat, and we don't know how it works. Now it's listening to us and telling us what we want when we don't even want it. And from all of the world up until 1920, people got around on a horse and a buggy. And 100 years from 1920 to 2020 has been amazing, fast, incredible growth in technology. In the next 10 years, all of that's going to be 10x'd.
Right.
People just need to get ready. It's all 10x.
I mean, we were joking about this robot thing on the show a few weeks ago when people were saying, people are now calling robots racial slurs, like they're calling them clankers and stuff, which is just funny because we're joking about it. But Democrats are going to fight for clankers. They're going to say that we're racist, we're, robotist or whatever. They're going to make up some other word to call us that we're not being, nice to them or whatever because we believe in human life, not robot life, and, whatever. It's just, this is going to be scary once they start holding and carrying human life.
Another interesting idea before we go is the amount of oil, because oil is everything.
Yeah, what about climate change here?
There are
Can
two
we talk about this?
No, hold on, I will in a second. But there are two factors that are just crazy: the production and availability of how much oil we actually have, and the perpetual rise of population. When those two things intersect, it's no bueno. It's peak oil.
Well, they're doing this. They're doing this because of the population decline in China.
So what I'm saying is the amount of energy it's going to take to make these stupid things is going to be beyond the point that it cares at all about sustaining the population right now.
What happens when there's a malfunction with the robot and there's a human life inside of it?
Is it still the mother's body if the baby's in a robot?
Not my body,
Is it still a clump of cells if the baby's grown in a robot?
Yeah, it's a human life. That's what I'm saying. What happens if it goes wrong?
I can't even extrapolate the abortion argument, but I don't know what mind wiggling they'll have to do to figure it out when the baby's growing in a robot.
Yeah. It'll be
my robot, my choice.
Did the robot consent to the, let's say something goes wrong with the robot. There's a human life inside of it. At what point do we break the robot open to save the human life if something happens? But then Democrats will be like, did you ask the robot first?
My robot, my choice.
Well,
it's just all ridiculous.
That's a
it's ridiculous,
that's a real
but
thing.
in 20 years, it's going to be real. Very scary.
Sooner than that. I mean, seriously, it's.
We all need Jesus.
It's real.
Everyone, go pray, and
Amen.
we need help.
So everybody that can hear me needs to stock up on their emergency equipment. Some MREs,
their
water.
Guitars.
Yeah, go put some strings on my guitar when aliens come. I'm ready. I'm tuned up, always ready to go.
I'm gonna have my.
Some of the chats it's C3PO section.
Yeah, it's just, that's very clever. I like that. All right, well, not to scare everyone, but thank you for joining Nightly Scroll tonight. I had a lot of fun. Hope you did too. And I will see you right back here tomorrow. Rumble.com/Hayley. That's where you can watch the show. Of course, X, Facebook, you're only going to get a little bit of the show. So you want to watch the full show on Rumble. And then, of course, you can catch it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify later on. And I will see you right